Hello everybody, we're the papers. We're here to review the news this week. Yeah. So we can see that the national press have its usual range of responses to world affairs. One of the things that caught my eye was in here in Private Eye. There was an article about money laundering. Would anyone like to explain to me what money laundering is?
Yeah, well, it's where a group of people, usually either associated with terrorism or with crime, they then need to make that money legal. So then they use things like offshore accounts, of which the UK has got loads of places that they can use to do that, and a lot of the money can go through the City of London. And of course, one of the reasons why the Brexit thing was driven by so much money in this country, people trying to get us out of Europe, was because the City of London did not want to take on board the new regulations that the EU are putting in place to try and stop the laundering of money. That's one of the reasons why, because actually they make a lot of money out of it.
Oh, they do, yeah.
You know, so you know, that's interesting. I think that's what Private Eye was talking about, wasn't it? Yeah.
So the process seems to be, this is interesting, the process seems to be around the money laundering issue is the first thing you do is you escape from European regulations.
Yeah.
And one way to do that is to leave Europe, right? So now you don't have to worry about what the Europeans are saying, because the Europeans are actually passing new legislation to make money laundering more difficult.
Yeah.
So that means our offshore protectorates, which are places like Gibraltar,
Yeah.
the Cayman Islands, that's one of ours.
Another one of ours, yeah.
Any others that we know about? Virgin Islands, are they ours?
Virgin Islands, I don't know if they're ours.
Yeah.
I think they might be, but then there are other places where things are set up.
Falklands?
Yeah.
Do they do money laundering at the moment? They probably don't, but it's probably something they could consider in the
There was all
future.
that stuff in Panama, wasn't there? That company in Panama was doing loads of money laundering and hiding away accounts as well. So it's not just places that are British protectorates, there's other places as well that are being used, and other companies that are being used that would have been much more difficult for them to do that if we were still in the EU. Give it another year and you know, those regulations would have stopped a lot of that.
Yeah.
But now of course it will continue.
Yeah, that's right. We might actually expand, because what they're saying in here is that what are you going to do with these protectorates if they can't launder money?
Yeah.
Then they'll have to be funded directly by the Crown.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah, us, yeah.
And we ain't got any money, so we're not going to do that. So the only way out is really for them to expand their current operations, which is money laundering.
Well, it always seems to me that they always want to earn money, regardless of how they earn it, and keep the poor downtrodden. Really, don't give the poor much money. Hence the NHS, and now I've been reading about the doctor surgeries having to close because they can't really afford it.
Yeah.
So and then you've got these, what I consider to be criminals, of making all this money out of laundering it, and getting away with it, and we all know it's going on, and yet no one wants to do anything about it.
You know, these papers talk about all this stuff. You know, you very, very rarely do you see anything in these newspapers saying, "Do you realise that loads of your taxes goes towards the landlords in this country who get all the money from housing benefit?" And the reason for that, one of the things that's happened there is that whole setup has driven a huge rise in rents for poor people, and it's to the extent now where people cannot get out of rented accommodation and buy a house. They can't do it because they haven't got enough money left after they've been paying their rents.
No, sorry state of affairs, I would say.
So the taxpayer is paying landlords. That's not in your newspaper anywhere. No one's putting that in there.
No. Too much interest, I reckon.
Too much interest.
Self-interest.
Yeah, exactly.
But Rob, you were talking earlier about plastic.
Oh yeah, well that's one of my pet things is the environment and the way we're poisoning the seas with all these different plastics. They're even in things like toothpaste now. They put little plastic beads in, which is supposed to polish your teeth. And
what's the point of that?
Shower
they're
gels.
supposed to act as a kind of scrub on your teeth.
Right.
And then of course all these different plastics. They're even in things like toothpaste now. They put little plastic beads in, which is supposed to polish your teeth. And
what's the point of that?
Shower gels.
They're supposed to act as a kind of
scrub
on your teeth.
Right.
And then of course you spit them down Well, you swallow some and then you spit the rest out.
Don't
It
sink.
all eventually ends up in the ocean,
Right.
Yeah.
and then it's eaten by things like turtles. Turtles think that carrier bags floating around in the sea
Jellyfish.
are jellyfish.
Really?
Because, yeah. So
Yeah.
they come up behind it. That's a plastic bag that
Mm.
can't be digested, and it stays in the stomach
Mm.
until they die. Kills them in the end.
Sounds like another.
And the two
Another
sperm
issue.
whales that have been washed up, they've even found, as I say, car parts in their stomach. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So,
It's a sorry old world out there, isn't it?
well, there are a lot of stuff going on that,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the good things about being in the EU was there was a lot of regulations around how those things could and could not be done,
Mm.
and trying to bring everybody together to do it. So
Yeah.
getting out of it is a kind of piece of nonsense, really. The same thing is, you've still got to do the same things. You've still got to look after the environment, whether you're in the EU or you're not. You know, suddenly thinking that we're free of all this regulation is nonsense.
Yeah.
In the world we live in today, everybody's got a responsibility to look after the planet.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're in the EU or not. So you're not going to get away from regulation just by getting out of it.
Yeah. I see Michael Caine has said that it's a blow for freedom to vote to leave the EU. Michael Caine, of course, is not a very young man. He hasn't got long to live, I would say. And I don't know what you think of him, but I think, Michael, you've made a mistake, mate. People don't like you for that kind of stuff, particularly the young. And I would see a fall from grace if you carry on with that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
many people know that.
Not a lot of people know that. This is another one of my pet hates. This is something here that
Right.
this guy he was fined £60 for not sending his kids to school, one of his children to school, and when the family went on holiday.
Yeah.
Okay, and now he's already cost him £12,000 to take it through the court,
Right.
and his argument is so good because what he said was he has 3 children, 2 of them go to one school, and the other one goes to another school, and they have holidays at different times of the year.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
This idea that you can't take your kids out of school in holiday time.
Mhm.
Okay, it doesn't work because even on the Isle of Wight, these 2 schools on the Isle of Wight had holidays at different times of the different
Right.
weeks, different months.
Right.
It's crazy.
So he's got a good point.
You've got a very good point, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah.
What I want to know is why don't they make school such an amazing place to go that you would never want to go on holiday because you want to go to school?
Well, yeah.
Why isn't it like that? Why is it
Well-
that school, all these years later, is still a place people want to get out of instead of a place they want to go to?
But
You know.
it's a kind of. It's a
My
kind-
school was not a place I really wanted to go to. You know,
It was all right later on, I think.
it was like, all right
We-
later
we-
on, yeah.
But I think most people look back on the school days with a kind of glow, looking at it through sort of rose-coloured glasses, don't they? Because how marvellous it was.
Yeah.
Best days of your life and
All
all
that
that.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway, we got anything? We got
Very
anything?
so.
Any comments about the new president of the United States, Donald?
Yes, I have.
Go on then.
It was only last night that they sent 59 Tomahawk missiles into Syria,
Right.
and that was last night.
Right. They're American, are they? Tom
Yeah,
Hanks?
yeah.
Well, this is Trump again.
Right.
He decided that he got so emotional, the poor fella, that he had to go and do something about his children being. So he sent 59 Tomahawks over there, and that's the missiles, of course.
Yeah.
And they killed a lot of people. They killed a lot of children. So
I think
what do you make of that?
those tomahawks apparently killed 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's what they say.
What was targeted was the air grounds where they launched
Yeah.
the planes that carried
That's
the
right.
chemical.
Right.
Yeah.
the
But they
chemicals
said
that were-
chemical. But I've been I was watching to get another side of the story. I was watching RT this morning, and it was a very different picture from what we were led by our own media.
Mm. Yeah, different stories, aren't they? Both sides got a
Oh,
different,
okay.
very different take on what's been going on out there.
Absolutely.
I don't see a solution turning up anytime soon.
No.
But
There
yeah,
was a
what
little bit
horrible
on
mess.
there was a little bit on BBC One this morning about it,
Mm.
and I go over to RT, and the whole of the channel is dedicated to this problem.
Mm.
Yeah, there was nothing else on RT this morning. There was
Right.
so many different interviews and everything.
Right.
You got a completely different picture than the little bit you get on BBC.
Well, there we are. There we are.
It might be easier to get something towards a solution over there if there wasn't so much oil at stake.
Well, there's a problem with the
Right.
Middle East in general,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
is,
Really. I mean,
Right.
the oil's got to be playing
Resources in the
again.
Middle East,
Yeah.
a big problem.
Well, I mean,
Ridiculous.
I think in general
solution to that is it?
we're watching Mr. Trump and hoping
Shoots himself in the foot.
Well, I think he's doing that. That's the problem.
Doing that very
It'd
well
be
himself,
useful,
isn't he?
useful
Yeah.
if he could become more of a statesman and
Yeah.
deal with some of these problems in a more sensible way. But here we are. Anyway, that's it for today. We're the Papers. We talk about the news. We write songs about the news. And if you want to get to know a little bit more about the band, check out our website. It's thepapersmusic.co.uk. And we have a new single out, Cowgirl Kiss, which is available on YouTube. You can see the new video, which is quite stunning, I will say myself. And we have a new album in the stocks, which we will be releasing later this year. So stay tuned, and we'll be back with you next week to talk about the news by the Papers. Thank you.
All right.